Welcome to the Art of Happiness. My name is Tam, and I am joined by my lovely co-host, Erin Shimone.
Hey!
And today we are going to talk about micro yeses and the power of micro yeses. What is a micro yes? It is a small yes to your day. It's so simple.
But more importantly, how these can help you build momentum and change in your life in the relation to hobbies and self-care, right?
Absolutely.
So I think like we got this idea from, I'm trying to remember where we got this idea, but it was just, I think through my experiences of we've like reflecting on how far we've come and how we got to where we are now and how it doesn't seem so hard anymore to prioritize our self-care hobby time, right? And like, how did we get there? Right?
Well, so like if I just look at my own personal experience, like I think about the time before starting this podcast, right? And I remember, my complaints were that my husband had 7 hobbies and I had none. And it wasn't because he wasn't allowed me to that time. In fact, he was like pushing me out the door, like go find something. And I have this very vivid memory of him being like, I'm going to be home with the kids for 8 hours. You go, just go.
Yeah.
And I remember I was so busy and like overwhelmed prior to that day that I didn't have time to plan anything for myself. And then when he shoves me out the door, I'm out the door and I'm like, where do I go?
Yeah.
Like I didn't know where to drive my car.
Yeah.
I just got in my car and I drove, and I think I drove to Culver's and got a burger, and I think I went and sat in the Walmart parking lot and ate it. And sat there going, well, this is going to take like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Now what do I do with myself? And it was, I think looking back on it, it was the gravity of the largeness of how much time that I had thrusted upon me that just totally overwhelmed me and consumed me.
No, it's a great starting point,
right?
Like to explain this.
Yeah, and so I think if I had the knowledge that I had now, I think looking back, I would have said, I just need 20 minutes,
right?
And let me start there.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel like I can best describe the difference between like a yes and a micro yes. Is when you start kind of getting into the world of prioritizing yourself, especially if you're starting from like the deep end of like, for us, which was like postpartum, right?
Yeah, not having any,
not
making any self-care time,
right? Like even your body wasn't yours anymore.
Right.
If you're breastfeeding or whatnot, and so I feel like just starting smaller, like you said, can get you some momentum. And so that's the best way that I feel like, from my personal experience, that I can describe the best way of understanding what a micro yes is.
Yeah, and I think I think like my perspective is that I was really stuck in like this perfectionist loop of like same concept where it was, I had this very black and white thinking, all or nothing. Like if I can't go run a marathon, why would I even go walk? Like that makes no sense. Or
I feel that
if
every day.
I can't work out 5 times this week, I'm not going to work out at all. You
know?
Yeah. And I was definitely stuck in that all or nothing thought pattern. And I would also get overwhelmed if I had a chunk of time because I didn't know I didn't want to like start something and not be able to finish it. And so then I just wouldn't do anything at all, right? Analysis paralysis, what I call it in my house.
Absolutely.
Just not being able to pick anything because I didn't want to pick the wrong thing.
Yes.
Or it's like if you go to a new restaurant, and you don't like their food, then it's very disappointing.
Yes.
So it's like, might as well just keep going to the same restaurant.
It's true.
I don't know. But just those are some of the examples. But the idea of micro yeses is you start saying yes to small things, making small changes in your life, low stakes, and then it builds your confidence and your momentum. And then the next time you can do a little bit more. And for example, one of my hobbies a long time ago was to try the piano.
Oh yeah.
And that was a little bit into our hobby journey. And I borrowed a piano and started, instead of saying I'm going to try to like learn a whole song, I just committed to, I'm just going to practice for 10 minutes, and those bite-sized pieces were so much more manageable. And it just kept me going to like, I never did get to a whole song.
I was just going to say, what did you get?
But
you still have the piano?
But it's okay. No, I gave it back to you.
Did you?
Yeah.
What
but anyway, it kept me going like daily or weekly, just to like, I had it sitting there. It wasn't like this overwhelming thing.
You need to keep it.
It was just a very, it wasn't a low pressure hobby, and I feel like a lot of examples of that. And over time, it's gotten to where I don't feel guilty. I don't get that overwhelming feeling of perfectionism anymore. And so I think that so many of us as women and moms get trapped in that cycle of just not knowing what to do with our free time and just getting that analysis paralysis, right? Yeah.
Well, I think you bring up a good point about talking about it as a cycle, because like that truly is what happens is you just like just the way that we're encouraging you to start prioritizing self-care in a little bit increments and moving on. I really feel like that's how we got ourselves in the predicament that we did, is we started little increments of giving up parts of ourselves.
Right.
And then that just built momentum that resulted in us being this generation that kind of had that outside pressure to force us to give up that little bit of ourselves as we, you know, became businesswomen and then became wives and then became mothers. Yeah. And so I feel like the only way to fight that is, well, not only way, I think our way to fight that is doing the exact same thing that got us there, and it's creating a new cycle.
Yeah.
And I think with that,
it is retraining your brain.
It's just changing the process of it. And I think, you know, you talked about perfectionism and that, and I think that's really key, because I do feel like when our generation has this perfectionism like monster that we're fighting constantly, right? If you look at like my personal experience, if I looked at that full 8-hour day, if I didn't feel like I had that whole full 8-hour day planned to the T, I was like, oh man, I'm already failing. Like when I was sitting in the Walmart parking lot eating Culver's, I was like, I'm already sucking at this.
And you're feeling bad about yourself.
I was feeling bad about myself. I couldn't.
Spiral of negativity.
Couldn't get out of it. And then I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do anything with this day. And what am I going to do? And honestly, I think what I did is I think I drove around for a little bit, and I think I did a little window shopping. Yeah. And I think I was maybe out for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I went back home and I was like, thanks for the time.
Yeah, and it probably didn't help you at all, right?
It really didn't. Yeah. It just, the whole time I felt guilt and, you know, frustration at myself for not making use of that time. And I think it's because that perfectionist in me was like, I failed at something, you know, and it was very glaringly something about myself.
Yeah, like we're so hard on ourselves as like women. We internalize that, and there's like nothing wrong with you, right? It's just you didn't have the tools to know what to do. And I like if you had that opportunity now, how do you feel like that 8-hour, like how would you spend that time?
Oh my God, on the pressure. That should be one of your rapid fire questions that you like to do. So like now I feel like what I would do is I would probably make the time ahead of time to plan with a friend to have brunch, probably, and be like, Erin, let's go get some brunch. And then I would probably want to actually, I think I would enjoy window shopping. I think I would put that right back in there again. I think I would also want to look for time to find creativeness. So I would probably look for some sort of like class that we could do together that could, especially with you, like that would stimulate us in a creative atmosphere. And I feel like I would want to go for a happy hour. Yeah. I'm trying to fill in the whole 8 hours.
Yeah. Well, I'm just, I mean, since like now you have, your excitement about having that time is so much different now than it was then. Before it was almost like a dread of like, I don't know what to do with myself, right? And I'm sure a lot of women can relate to that. And now that you have worked on yourself and you've kind of built that foundation, you're so much better equipped to take care of yourself when given the opportunity, right? But you also, like, I think planning was a key thing you said there, right? Is like now that's one thing that we've learned really, that is that accountability and like putting it on the calendar is a huge little piece. And that is like a micro yes. It's like you don't need to, so an example of it would be like, okay, let's like start scheduling something in the calendar. That's a micro yes. Let's just put it on the calendar. Put 10 minutes on the calendar for yourself to start with and say, tomorrow I'm going to do XYZ for 10 minutes, you know, and then the next day it might be a little bit more, or the next week, you know, whatever you can manage. I don't know about you, but I found that, and this just might be my personality, that whenever I give myself, say I'm just going to do this for 10 minutes, I end up like getting into it and spending a lot more time on it. And like it's something about taking off the pressure. Yeah. Do you ever find that happening?
Well, I mean, I feel like even just in what I was just saying about like the time difference of like you pointed out my excitement versus the old time versus now. So I think that's truly it. Like now that like I you know, give myself that space, now I'm like, oh yeah, I could fill a whole 8-hour day with it.
Just like taking the pressure off, you know, and not feeling like, I don't know, you have to do it perfectly, or you're like trying to live up to somebody else's expectations, right? Yeah.
Well, and I feel like if you just kind of break down like, you know, the perfection term and put it in a hobby, you know, space, you know, hobbies give us the opportunity to fail privately, which helps build your confidence in failing out in the real world, right?
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with failing, right? That's part of growing. Yeah. And so I feel like if you create these micro yeses and you miss the mark in like a 20-minute window, you don't feel like you've wasted a whole 8-hour day not doing anything that served you, and you can just be like, oh nuts, okay, next time, right? So like just putting it again strictly in just a hobby setting, when I'm trying to learn these new hobbies that I do, sometimes it can be like, oh my God, okay, so I need to produce something for a podcast, right? But if I step back for a second and just kind of get started, typically how I've been doing it is I usually spend one day just looking at like really pretty pictures of anything that like people doing it, like tutorial videos and stuff that just like gets me excited about
so that's
it.
That's one step.
There's my starter step. And then the next thing, which is my favorite, is going to buy the supplies. Because as a true millennial, I'm going to blow all of my money on all the supplies that I now don't know what to do with except to organize in my beautiful little hobby space. And so I feel like it's, it doesn't mean that you need to make time to put out a whole project in one day. Maybe it means you just put out some paintbrushes and set up the space that you're going to do a hobby in for a little bit, and then the next day, okay, now I'm just going to kind of get the lay of the land of what tools I want to use. And eventually it just builds a momentum into a space where you feel a little bit more excited to want to be a part of it.
I do think like anytime you do those little steps, it gives dopamine in your brain, and it's like you're like, it is building that excitement, but it's like very low pressure way to start building that like habit. And this will like hobbies are such a great entry point to making this change in your habits to build that confidence so that you feel like you can like bring that into other aspects of your life too.
It makes you feel like you have control. It makes you feel like you're not just lost in a sea of life, right? Like I feel like that was kind of how I felt before. Like I felt like my life was like flashing before my eyes, and it was only like in my early 30s at the point in time, right?
I feel like that too. Like that you were, and we were just kind of like here to help everybody else and not having a lot of fun and just I agree. And so now taking those micro yeses and putting those in my life with this hobby time, it's like we're doing the research. Like we're not just promoting this out there. Like we're actually doing this ourselves. So I truly say it really was just taking that little bit of time and practicing saying yes that eventually got me to this space where, I can have a day where I'm doing a recording session and I'm not like, oh, we really need to speed this up because I need to get back to my kids, Yeah, absolutely.
I
like no guilt, self-care.
Yes!
For sure. It's taken us a long time to get here, a while to get here, right?
That's a really good thing to note is like, this isn't something that just happens overnight. Because like we were saying, it was, we didn't get ourselves into the space overnight, right? It was giving those micro moments away to people when we became a wife, when we became a businesswoman, when we became a mom. So the way to kind of an option to kind of counter that is doing the same exact thing. Start small and it'll get that momentum.
I think we're also caught up in instant gratification and thinking that you see people that are successful online and you're like, gosh, I want that, but I want it today. And you don't see all the work they did to get there, right? And that's just exactly what we're talking about. Like it's all these small steps to get there. And just remembering that like, I don't know, like one day you'll wake up and like you'll be like, wow, look at how far I've come.
Truly.
Even though each day didn't feel like a lot of movement, right?
That's a great point. Is it's not like it's just a little bit of time and I feel like you just keep going. You just keep working. Because
one thing, I have this little mantra that might help other people, and other people might say this too, but it really helps me sometimes, is that if there's something that I don't really want to do or I'm struggling mentally with it, I will say to myself, like, your future self will thank you.
Really?
And I tell myself that, and like it's like I'm talking to myself, and it's like enough. And I don't know, it just works for me.
Yeah, that's really cute. I really like
But it's like this little thing, but then the thing is, the important piece of it is when you get to the future, the next day or whatever it is, you actually have to thank yourself and be like, thank you for doing that yesterday.
Oh, I don't think I've ever heard it like that before. I feel like I've heard the idea of like, stopping it there, but I don't think I've ever heard of going back and thanking yourself. It kind of makes me want to cry a little.
You should try it. So like a perfect example, this is like I'll do this. This is probably a daily thing I do. Is doing the dishes before bed, cleaning the kitchen. Yes. And it's like I hate doing it because you're tired and the kids. Well, once the kids go to bed and you're like, But every morning I'm like, I am so glad.
Yes.
Thank you, Erin, for doing that last night. It makes my day so much better.
Truly, it really is. It's like a visual of your brain in the kitchen, right? If you clean out the clutter, and then you wake up in the morning. That's how because I'm like you. I also like to wake up to like a clean starting space in the
I
kitchen.
think a lot of people do, right? But I think you could apply that to so many things. You know, it's so it's just like a little thing I do that helps me, and it's really. I think
that's really sweet. I really appreciate you sharing that. Actually, I'm gonna steal it.
Yeah, do it, please.
Aw,
please.
No, I feel like this is, just something that I think we have talked about on our podcast, and I feel like we can continuously promote. And so I like presenting it in this way of like this micro way because I really think it's very important for our listeners to know that it really is small steps. Don't shock your system by going straight into an 8-hour Culver's lunch.
Right. No, truly. Like that is 100% true, right? It's like, so that's the tip is like start small, say yes to one thing. So maybe it might be like you're wanting to start a new hobby. So maybe the very first step, like Tam said, is to start looking at inspirational videos. Yeah. And just get your excitement going and just do that for 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
And you'll be surprised like how that momentum will build. And I think it's important to follow your intuition too.
Absolutely.
You know, just go with
Listen to your gut and follow the micro yeses that make you feel good after each one. Like if you start a micro yes and you give space to something that didn't feel awesome or make you feel a little bit better afterwards, maybe listen to that and think of that as, okay, maybe I need to pivot a little bit. And I think keep taking small steps toward what's making you feel joy will get you to the bigger picture of joy that really makes you feel fulfilled. And I bet even takes you in that path of finding your true self.
Yeah. I love it. That was beautifully said, Tam.
Well, sometimes I have these gems that I like to drop out there. But we're done.
Well, I hope that our listeners, I hope this inspires you all to just take like maybe a small step this week to do something that you've been thinking about. Just take that first step, like that first micro yes this week, whatever it is, put it on your calendar and make it happen.
Yes.
And we would love to hear about it, share it with us, because we really do want to support our listeners in just finding their better selves, truer selves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just finding happiness through hobbies.
Absolutely. The happiness.
Yeah, that's right. So thanks for joining us today on The Art of Happiness.
Yes.
We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.